There are business leaders that are making so much more than profit in their enterprises. They're elevating their businesses, teams, and themselves to add more value. And so can you. Welcome to the Chris Cooper Business Elevation Show with host Chris Cooper. If you were looking for ways to elevate success while contributing to a better world, you'll want to listen in for the next hour. Now here's your host, Chris Cooper.
Hi, this is Chris Cooper, and a big welcome to the Business Elevation Show on Voice America. It's just lovely to be back with you again for yet another week, and I think we've got an exciting show today. We're going to talk about a fabulous new book. It's called Play the Game, How to Win in Today's Changing Environment. And before we go into the book, I want to say a big thank you to my guest last week, to Brandon Hatton. We talked about conscious wealth, and if you want to sort of answer those questions about, how much money is enough? What am I going to do with my money? How am I going to make a bigger contribution to the world? And where do I put it, etc.? Then you're going to find that show really, really helpful. And thank you to people who over the last couple of weeks have given me feedback on some of the recent shows. People love the show with Clint Pulver. If you've not listened to that one, Clint is probably one of the best storytellers I've ever come across. He was America's Got Talent drummer and an expert on employee retention. People also love the show with Paul Downs, which was really helped us to understand things like sovereign wealth funds. And people still often mention the show with Thomas Campbell on consciousness. But what we aim to do on this show is to bring you experts, thought leaders, people that can help us to elevate our thinking and make a bigger contribution. There's a lot of challenges right now out there in the world. You'll be feeling them yourself right now. Some say the world's in a crisis. And what we aim to do is bring to you people who can help your thinking and help put you into a really productive space with lots of ideas and inspiration. And this show, therefore, and this book, Play the Game, which was created and facilitated really by Adam Strong, I think is really, really unusual. And what Adam has done is brought together some exceptional game-changing leaders, in his own words. I'm a little bit embarrassed slightly by that, as I'm one of them. But this book, I think, enables you to access the thoughts and the thinking of a number of different thought leaders and provides inspiration and motivation. A real kind of smorgasbord of different ideas and thoughts that can help you when you're feeling maybe plateaued or a bit stuck in your business or in your life. I mentioned Adam. Adam Strong is a past show guest. He's got an incredible background. He's a core productivity expert, an entrepreneur. He's an athlete. He's even spent 3 years running with Mo Farah, if you've heard of Mo, and he's a speaker, a trainer. And as he brought together, as I mentioned, had this idea to bring together these thought leaders to contribute a chapter to this book. Now, the book launched on October the 20th. It's already looking like an international bestseller, so do check it out at all good bookstores. And we've also got, besides Adam, we've got Branka van der Linden, Haroon, Danis, and Karel Vermeulen today. So I'm going to share a little bit about each of those. Branka originates from Serbia, considers Cyprus now her home. She supports various non-governmental organizations. She developed the Codfish productivity method. She's the founder of Meaningful Synergies. And she's of a chapter called Self-Healing. Then we've got Haroon Danis. He travels the globe and he's not locked down with his franchise business, Skin HQ. He's an award-winning, disruptive entrepreneur, a best-selling published author, a specialist in scaling businesses, won lots and lots of awards, including Company of the Year. And he wrote a chapter on franchising. So we're going to talk a little bit about his experience from Skin HQ and franchising. And then we've got last but very much not least, we have Karel Vermeulen from South Africa, beautiful town of Cape Town. And he's an accredited international coach, a business owner, he's published author of Do You Want to Be an Entrepreneur and co-author of Finding Your Moment of Clarity. He's the creator of the KV brand and founded Success Growth Academy. And he's going to share today a secret link for you to generate some exceptional sales success. So a big welcome to my guest today. Welcome.
Oh, thank you. Thank you very much.
Oh.
Chris,
you're welcome.
Chris.
Good to see you. Good to hear from you.
Thanks,
I've obviously
Chris.
seen you too.
So I'm going to start having us.
Yeah, you're welcome. You're welcome. So I'm going to start with Adam, if that's okay. Look, Adam, how proud are you feeling today to pull this off?
Well, listen, I mean, this is my third published book. And I mean, I'm super proud because I think, one thing that I recognize, Chris, right, especially in the world that it is today, right, is that we all have desires. All of us have desires. That be your listeners that are listening into the radio show right now, and the desires of all of our co-contributing authors, desires of happiness, success, fulfillment, the wanting to serve and add value to people. But one thing that I really wanted to leverage is the power of collaboration. Why can't we all collaborate in moving towards something which is of similar goal and mindset and aspiration? Why can't we do that and serve people at the same time? So I hope that kind of makes sense, Chris, but it's great to be back here on the show. I love Voice of America, and it's great to be back on here.
No, you're welcome. It's great. And I think I think you initiated something special here. Myself, it's really interesting having written a chapter and not having read the full book before I contributed that. And what I find is really interesting is whereas a book, maybe the thoughts of one or two authors pulling in various bits of research, we've got a number of different styles, haven't we, in this book, and different subjects and ideas covered. And I think you get something unique. Some of those styles you'll love. Some of them, they might not quite sit with your style, but there's just a whole lot of different thoughts and seeds and ideas. Some of the people's best stuff, really.
Yeah, I absolutely agree, and I think what I love about this book in particular is that yes, it creates, it covers a diversity of different topics, and that's what I love about it. And now there are lots of books which are, should we say, kind of co-collab types of books with lots of different authors. But one thing that I really didn't want is a book just full of stories, because yes, stories are great, right? People love stories, but for you, the listener, or for you, the reader, we have to be mindful about what is it going to do for you? What is it going to do for the reader? I really wanted to tap into some of the thought leaders and some of the contributing authors and say, do you know what? Yes, I want you to tell your story, but I want our readers to feel like they can come away from the book and say, I've got this strategy, or I've got this epiphany, or I've had some great golden nuggets, right? And I can go away and implement that into my own business. So that's what I really wanted. That was my vision for the book.
Excellent. I'm going to move to Branka now. I mean, why do you think the world needs this book right now?
Well, once more, hello, Voice America. Hi, Chris. This is Branka van der Linden, dialing in from Cyprus. Why does the world needs this book? Well, let's just say that I had the opportunity to send the copy to Zambia, to India, to South Africa, to Serbia, to Northern Cyprus, and all the feedback I got is, wow, there's some excellent tips there. And I think that the world needs this book right now because it addresses empathy. It addresses new skills that every thought leader should have in this new normal, in this new after COVID business.
It's it's great that you're getting that sort of feedback. But what made you respond to Adam's suggestion here, rather than say have your name on the front of the book? Because I think some of us have, a number of us here have written books before. But what made you decide you wanted to be a part of this?
Right. Well, it's a funny story actually how I met Adam. He was doing a masterclass for Global Women Club. And this is club from London, and it's all over the world, and it connects women entrepreneurs who need some leadership skills and who needs a boost in their businesses. And then Adam, as experienced entrepreneur, came and just told us his story, and it was really so powerful. We connected afterwards. He reached out, and his his invitation to contribute was quite unexpected. but very precise. And I felt like it's a part of a tribe. And when Adam talks about power of tribe in the book and on his postcards and on the clubhouse, it's really something that invites us to be the game changers, to lead the change and not just to expect the change.
Yeah, fantastic. And I love that, why Adam created this book and the way that he has coordinated all of us together. I remember him mentioning to me, there's one chapter left. I'm thinking, is there really only one chapter left? And there was, because I think by Monday that was it. The sort of the gates had been drawn, and anybody else who wanted to contribute couldn't, because it was. He pulled that crowd of experts together to do it. Now, Haroon, thank you, Branka. Haroon, why did you contribute to this? And you're this kind of maestro behind this brand Skin HQ. What was your feeling about collaborating on this venture, and why did you want to do it, really? Because you're obviously very busy with what you're doing.
Thanks for having me on the show, Chris, and hello to all the listeners on Voice America. Yes, you're right, Chris. I am busy, but I really feel this period that we've just gone through over this last 18 months has just been such an incredible time in business, and it's just been quite extraordinary. Some of the times that we've gone through, and some of the opportunities actually that have become available from all of the change in the business landscape. And obviously, it's like kind of a once in a lifetime, hopefully, type of situation that's just happened. And we, as a business, we found a way to really, really expand from 5 locations to now 37 locations in 3 different continents within 18 months through the pandemic. So that was really quite a unique story. And I really believe in by sharing that story, there will be so many other people out there with similar opportunities that could maybe take advantage of some of the things I've learned along the way.
Fantastic. And I think you make a good point. There's a lot going on, isn't there? I was facilitated to have a group called the Elevation Collective that I facilitate. And last night we were just talking about, we're all kind of got a lot of things going on that are quite small, which involve ourselves. I mean, they're small in that they're impacting us directly rather than necessarily the rest of the world. But then we've got our businesses going on. Some of those small things with an impact of how we're feeling due to the pandemic, etc. And then on top of that, we've got an enormous amount of change going on in the world right now, from climate change, from equality. And we've got it's over here in this UK Brexit. We've got politics. We've got different leadership battles going on around the globe, and therefore there's a lot going on to think about, isn't there? And I wonder, Karel, does this book? Do you think it can help maybe ground us and deal with some of those things that are going on in our heads right now through drawing upon the wisdom of others?
I certainly believe so, Chris. Thank you very much for having me on your show, and thank you to each and every listener that's tuned in to Voice America. One of my philosophies in life is that it doesn't matter who you are, what status you are in life. You can living on the streets, you can be a multi-millionaire. We can all learn from each other. Excuse me, I've got some phlegm in my throat here. And when Adam asked me to join, if I want to participate in this book, I just jumped on it, because that's also one of my values is collaboration, just like Adam said previously in the beginning of our discussion. And because this book has so much weight of 18 different entrepreneurs, business owners, people who make a change in their environment, this book is so grounded, and I really believe that it can impact whoever is picking up this book.
And I think that's, we're representing, Voice America is obviously an American kind of network, but it goes up to over 50 countries. And I think what I love about talking with all of you and also many of the other contributors to the book. This is a very international book, isn't it? You're there in beautiful Cape Town. I'm imagining you're sitting on top of Table Mountain right now. I don't know why.
Yeah, I wish.
But you know, the issues that we're feeling around the world, there's great commonalities, isn't there?
Absolutely. You know, if I could just take in South Africa, you know, Haroon has mentioned all the changes that's happening the last 18 months. You know, I was doing a bit of research, you know, and I was shocked to learn, you know, that over 3,000 businesses in South Africa alone in the last year has closed down, you know, and our unemployment rate has shot up by 34.4%, which is the highest in the world. You know, and if you take that with the 60 million population of South Africa, according to Stats South Africa, that was released in August 2020, that means that a staggering 8.4 million people are currently unemployed, has been laid off because of businesses that closed down, you know, and small business owners, entrepreneurs, these people are the backbone of an economy. Now, if we can just bring out 1% of the game changers, you know, to the staggering unemployed people in our country, and I believe in all the representatives in other countries as well. Just imagine what will that do for their moral, their self-confidence, you know, and how that's going to boost the economy. And that's why I truly believe that this book is a revolutionary book. It's a life-changing book because all the concepts in here, it touches all the different aspects of entrepreneurship and business and how you can really have a different look on what's happening in each and everybody's life at the moment.
I think that's really helpful to point out the need right now. And I hadn't realized that unemployment got quite so high in South Africa. So, you know, there's an opportunity for people right now to be studying these kinds of things and materials and listen to podcasts like Adam's and this one to kind of pick up ideas to be able to step up. I mean, Adam, what's the environment like in Cyprus right now? Is he there?
Oh, sorry. I'm not in Cyprus at the moment. I'm actually in Sweden at the moment, believe it or
not.
Are you?
Oh, you do Cyprus and Sweden then? I didn't realize you're in Sweden.
Exactly. I tend to navigate between Cyprus, Sweden, or the UK. It's kind of like the Bermuda Triangle in a way, right? And do you know what I mean? It's kind of like, oh, where do you find Adam today type of thing. But no, I'm in Sweden at the moment. So, but yeah, I mean, and I know that we had another contributing author, Stefan Tonen, who is in the HR field. He's Swedish, so he represents Sweden as well. So yeah, but listen, I totally get what Karel was 100% saying. But yeah, and he puts up a good point. You know, the whole point of this book really is not just to read it to be inspired, but to feel empowered to do something, right? Because at the end of the day, we've all got choices in life. We have the choice to either, number one, let fear conquer us, or we can get off our asses and do something about it, whether it be to move our business to the next level, whether it's to start a business, I believe in entrepreneurship. I believe in business. I believe it is a great vehicle to enhance and help people at the end of the day. You know, I've been an entrepreneur for 30 years, as you know, Chris. But I think this book really represents, you know, what the whole kind of like, I interviewed Evan Carmichael yesterday on the podcast, and we talked about how leaders should kind of, you know, represent themselves to kind of serve people. We're kind of in that arena of the more that you serve people, Chris, the more that you help people, the more you serve people, the more that you help yourself. You know, yeah. And because, you know, I believe that society, you know, as conditioned as we become, some of us can be very driven on money, but if you're driven just specifically on creating wealth and money, you're going to become a very miserable and lonely person. You know what I mean? So, you know, if you've got a higher purpose in life, if we look at millennials, if we look at young people today, you know, they are applying for jobs based on not the amount of money, not the salary that they're earning, but they want to be part of a tribe. They want to be part of a culture that excites them. They want to be part of something which effectively is bigger than themselves. Does that make sense, Chris?
Absolutely. I think what this dovetails nicely into talking about with Branka, actually, because her chapter is on self-healing. And I think what I'm getting from what you're saying, there's an element which is really important about who you're being as well as the doing. And I do believe sometimes you may plan, but the quality of what comes out is linked to your level of consciousness. And I think this book can help you nudge that consciousness on and help you plan maybe from a higher level, having taken some wisdom. And yet tribes are, we all want to feel like we're part of something and a movement. And basically we've got to stand up. We've got to step up right now, haven't we? The world is at a really pivotal point, and it's time for us all. It's not a dress rehearsal anymore. It's about standing up. So Branka, you earned the title of Woman to Look Up to in 2021, which I think is a great title. And your contribution's about self-healing for success. And for me, when I think of self-healing, it's about dealing with some of the issues we maybe got in the past and releasing the baggage such that we can then move forward at a greater sort of pace. So tell us a little bit about self-healing, and maybe you could even mention a nice metaphor about walking in the sea.
Thank you, Chris, for that. Well, Chester Elton, who did the foreword for this book, he said you won't relate to every journey in this book, and he's totally right about it. But it says that you'll find a lesson of living a life with purpose and passion. And this is what I wanted to communicate through my chapter. So self-healing for me is having the difficult conversations with ourselves and just re-examining of where we are on our path, on our journey. What do we want from life? And for our audience, I have just one simple question, and that is, what are your sources of inspiration? Because I cannot tell you whether this book will be aha moment for you, whether it will serve your purpose, but I know it did for me. Because Karel was saying that everything is in the feeling, and he talks about secret ingredients and manifestation. And Michael Robinson talks about clarity of communication, which we all need to have as a skill nowadays. Also, we have Hillary talking about quality assurance and process improvement, and Heather, who dropped the 20 years of accountancy and became a mobile coffee bar owner. So it's really, really very diverse stories and diverse personalities. And then Adam was very brave to put us all together. And yet, even if we agreed of what we are going to talk about and write about, the book wouldn't be any smoother. So how it helped me is that I extracted all the titles and all the headings of this book and made them my daily mantra. And self-healing is not something you do and you stop. It's a process. It's an ongoing process, just like lifelong learning and networking is. And you mentioned the metaphor that I was talking about in the book. And yes, indeed, it's a metaphor about us and humans. Like we tend to forget that we are human beings and not human doings. So when you run into the sea, and what happens? The sand just commodes and you can't see your feet. And sometimes all it takes is for you to take a break, to take a step backwards, just to stay still and do nothing. And many people cannot pinpoint when was the last minute they did nothing. So in this case, when you see through the sea, you suddenly see this clarity. And this is what self-healing is all about.
Yeah, I like that. I like that. I like that. And we all have, from time to time, self-healing to do. It's kind of an ongoing process, isn't it? And I just think those moments that you can take the time just to stop. We had a bit of a laugh last week, and there was a laugh, but I had quite a disorganized moment in organizing the interview last week, and I'd come back the week before to the most amazing volume of feedback I think I've ever had in my life, and then the reality hit that even the small things are important, and I'd lost a little bit of focus, and I then needed to sort of reflect and get myself back in balance with a bit of meditation to help me deal with it. So I think it's an ongoing process, that, isn't it? Yes,
this is what the message is all about. And I think that the readers will see that different days, they will relate more to different chapters. It's like a handbook, self-help manual that can just give you a boost of inspiration when you need it on different sectors and different industries.
I like that. I'm grateful there that you shared some of the other kind of components of the book, because I think that that all of that symphony of different ideas, is coming together into something really quite special, and there will be elements at different times that will really mean something to people. And there's also maybe, it's a book that you maybe read several times at different times during your life and your career to pick up the next little seeds and ingredients of messages that are really right for you at the time. So we're going to go to commercial break now, and after the commercial break, I'm really looking forward to talking to Haroon about his lessons of how you take a small shop idea into a global brand, as Haroon's doing with Skin HQ, and then we'll chat with Karel as well. And Karel's got some real wisdom and insight about something that is really important when it comes to your sales success. I would say success in life. And then we'll also we'll have a chat with Adam as well about his chapter and some of the ideas and wisdom that he's got to share. So do join us after the break. Do keep a pen and a piece of paper with you as well to make any notes. We'll be back with you again in just a couple of minutes.
Become our friend on Facebook. Post your thoughts about our shows and network on our timeline. Visit facebook.com/Voice America.
Would you like to work personally with the host of this show to help realize your potential? Chris Cooper supports business leaders and high potential individuals to achieve greater success in their businesses and careers. Support includes the opportunity to join a high return group mentoring and mastermind program called the Achiever Program. One-to-one mentoring and coaching, facilitated leader development workshops and speeches. Email info@bemoreachievemore.com to arrange a free, no-obligation consultation to see how Chris and his team can help you.
Have you friended us on Facebook yet? Why not? Just go to facebook.com/Voice America or search for the keywords Voice America. Once you are part of our Facebook network, you'll receive daily messages about what's happening with our shows, this week's featured guests, and new happenings at the Voice America Talk Radio Network. And you can add your voice to the always active discussions on our timeline. Just go to facebook.com/Voice America or search for Voice America.
You are tuned into the Business Elevation Show with your host, Chris Cooper. If you have a question or comment about our show, please direct your emails to chris@chriscooper.co.uk. That's chris@chriscooper.co.uk. Now back to Chris Cooper.
Hi, this is Chris Cooper. Welcome back to the Business Elevation Show. Delighted to be talking about play the game today, how to win in today's changing environment. And we've got Branka van der Linden, we've got Adam Strong, Haroon Danis, we've got Karel Vermeulen, and we're representing a number of different countries here today because this is very much an international collaborative project. So I'm delighted to talk to Haroon now because Haroon, you created Skin HQ. Tell us a little bit about what it is, and maybe we can blend that with your experiences about how a business can start from just a single, maybe small shop or unit, and then one day, as is happening with Skin HQ, becomes a global brand.
Yeah, sure, Chris. That's exactly what it was. A single unit started in Manchester. Skin HQ is a skin clinic that offers treatments to help people take care and maintain healthy skin. So it was launched in early 2017, and it was just that, a small clinic. And, natural progression in a business, when you stop being so functional and you start giving people accountability to take care of the location, you take a step back and then you get multiple locations slowly but surely. So that's what we did. But then I guess kind of due to the pandemic and just having that little break, we suddenly just found ourselves much more agile, and we had the opportunity to make some really big changes. And I guess in business, that's what you do. You try and understand how the market will change. And luckily for us, we realized that our market would strongly benefit from the outcome of this pandemic. People are much more interested in looking after themselves so they can look better and feel better as well, to adapt to the change in the market. So industries like the one we are in, which is the beauty industry, is directly benefits from that. So yeah, we launched a franchising then. And I mean, in this kind of supercharged time of change, we had thousands of inquiries very quickly. But, you know, I one of the reasons why I'm talking about our story in the book is just mainly because this is such a unique time. But I guess the unique time really helps you take a step back and really look at things outside the box. And we could have actually done this earlier, but due to the stop that we had in our business, it really made us kind of focus. So I guess anyone who has a business, which starts from a small shop or a small unit, a small base, and as long as it can run without them there, then they can expand that. And there are so many people out there that are looking for business opportunities in tried and tested models that can generate income, who may not have their own ideas as well and are happy to use somebody else's ideas that work. So the franchising model has been great for us. I think franchising in general has done really, really well post this pandemic. And I mean, yeah, that's our story.
Fantastic. I see parallels. I remember one of the conversations I had with Dr. Ivan Meisner. I think Branka knows him well too, who founded BNI, the networking organization. I remember him saying that he got 3 mastermind type groups, and he decided that this, he got a formula that was working well, and he wanted to take it bigger. So he wrote a 500-page manual on how to run one of these, and then started to franchise it. And then, a number of years later, there's 4,500 networking groups around the world happening every week, I think. So with you've taken that model, and I guess what I think is interesting is that the pandemic enabled you to do some creative thinking, put a little bit of pressure on you to do that as well, and you've gone to 35 outlets now internationally, and many people would have thought the pandemic was it was a place to sit tight perhaps and not stretch themselves. So what was it that suddenly pushed you over that edge?
I mean, for me personally, I got into this industry in 2010. So I got into the industry at a time when I seen the industry growing following the recession, the credit crunch, the big economic crisis in 2008, 9 and 10. And I seen how the industry grew. So as a as the leader of my business, I could see which way the industry was going to go. So to go international, obviously we could hardly leave our houses here in the UK. It's complete lockdown. And we had clinics opening in New Zealand, the other side of the world, right? I guess before the pandemic, if you're going to do a deal with someone in New Zealand to open physical locations, you probably have to go there and, at least sign a paper or shake a hand or something, like to do the deal. But due to the pandemic, nobody's allowed in or out of New Zealand. And I think it was pretty much the same in the UK. We managed to do it over Zoom. And, the clinics are ready now. And this is it, this is... The barriers are kind of broken, and we were able to adapt to the limits that we had, and we were able to embrace them for growing the business.
Fantastic. Well, in Haroon's chapter, he shares some of the formula that he adopted to grow Skin HQ, and what for anybody who's been maybe listening to this and thinking you can't, we're limited by the likes of Zoom. Think again, because actually I've certainly found it a very effective methodology with my work, and some of my clients though say, we can't do business, we can't do this, I don't like doing this, I don't like being online. But actually other people are out there like Haroon and moving their businesses forward quickly and sometimes even faster with this kind of technology. So I'm going to move over to Karel now. Now, Karel, your chapter was particularly about selling, and for many people selling is quite a scary thing to do. And I'm quite interested with your chapter because it's not a standard practical list of sales techniques. Why have you chosen that to share about the importance of being aware of both the physical and the non-physical world as being a secret ingredient for success in this important field?
Well, thank you, Chris. That's a very important question. My question to the listeners that I ask myself is, what emotions are you feeling when you hear the dreadful word sales? And I always laugh at it. And I was telling my friends that people think, oh, Karel, you're such a good entrepreneur. You've made so much money. You're doing good in life. Your business is flourishing. What is happening, And then I'm saying, what? Funny enough, I had to come to this, I don't know if it's epiphany or what you want to call it, but realization. But hey, whenever I need to make a sale, whenever I need to pick up the phone or go to a meeting to get clients on board, I had all these dreadful symptoms, emotional, negative feelings about sales, because I realized, but Karel, I actually hate sales, but I'm a business person, I'm an entrepreneur. How can I hate sales? And so I was really diving into this and researching, but what is missing here, So then I realized, okay, maybe it's because I don't know all the techniques, how to handle objections, how to handle phone calls. So I enrolled in Grant Cardone's Sales University. I did my master in sales certification there. I've got so many sales books on my shelf here, and still I was hating sales, and still some of the sales just don't want to come in. And I was like asking the universe, what is it that I'm missing here? Because I'm doing all these strategies and these tactics that I'm learning, but still the sales aren't there. And then I came across Zachary Dixon from Australia I just saw this video he's a very dynamic person on my social media on Facebook. And he was talking about this link between the physical and the non-physical. And the non-physical is actually what we're calling the metaphysical world. And I was like, wow, okay, he's got something here. What do I have to lose to listen to this guy? So I listened and video after video from him and recordings, and he became kind of my online mentor. And then when I dig into it, I thought, oh, okay, here is something here that I have been missing. And this is this link between the physical and the metaphysical world. Now, if I talk about the metaphysical world, we all know the physical world. Let's start with the physical world. The physical world is everything that we can see. It's everything that we can touch. It's everything we know that is energy and it's vibration. And science has proved that vibrates at a very, very low frequency. That is static. That actually it's not really static, but that's what you can touch. That's what you can feel. But the other energy that you cannot see and that you cannot really feel as much unless you tap into it, that's the metaphysical. That's in the universe there. The metaphysical is all about our mindset. It's all about our energies. It's who we truly are from the inside. And once you tap into this energy and know how it works, which I will share some tips how you do this, then that is where the magic happens. And that's when I realized, and I started doing this, and my sales has increased. This one company was over $1 million South African rand, which is about $68,000 in the red. And when I started applying this and constantly applying this meditation and this positive affirmations and calling this law of attraction in and actually feeling, I know Branka also mentioned about the emotions, which is so important because that's the key. The key to the metaphysical world is you need to feel it. You need to embrace it. You need to activate all your senses if you can. When you meditate and when you apply this law of attraction, the metaphysical, then it starts happening. And it doesn't happen over time. And my sales increased by over 300% in this of my one product. And I was like, wow, this is like really, I like this secret missing link. This is like, man, I can live with this. I can do with this. And since I've experienced it myself, I'm very passionate about and teaching people about and telling people wherever I can about the secret missing link, And what I found is with my coaching clients that everybody is just like where I was as well. Most people that, yes, it's easy to learn the strategies and the methodologies and the know-how of answering the phone and objections and all these kind of things. But if you do not tap into your metaphysical, who you really are, your mindset, because your mindset is absolutely everything. Everything starts with mindset. Because I'm also going out from the viewpoint that as an entrepreneur, business owner, we are our business. And sometimes we can be our greatest asset in our business, or sometimes we can be our greatest downfall in our business. Yep. And that stems from that our mindset is not right, that we haven't tapped into this energy that the universe is giving to us. It's there. We just need to know how to tap into this and to practice that and then bring that to manifestation. Because I also believe that God and the universe wants to have us all successful in giving us everything that we want and want desire. And maybe this is the key that is missing in somebody's life.
Excellent. Thank you. Great. Okay. Well,
hey, Chris, I was going to ask you actually while we're here, because you are also a contributing author, and we haven't had the opportunity to have a conversation with you as well. And for you guys that are listening in as well, what I love about Chris's chapter is he shows his vulnerability. And I think as a leader, if you show vulnerability, what you do is you bring out your true human authentic self. And I think that we really, including myself, including the listeners here, is that if we show vulnerability, we also understand the power of connection. But I've got a question for you, Chris. I suppose my question is so the title of your book, title of your chapter is called Elevating Your Leadership for a Better World. What was the reason why you decided that was the title of the chapter? Do you feel like elevating, the leadership, the way leadership is right now, it's not elevated? What's your sort of take on that? I'd love to know what your thoughts are.
Yeah, well, I've actually been working on this sort of concept for a couple of years or so before writing this with a gentleman called Gene Early. Gene I met in Kenya on a leader's quest. He's an amazing guy and was initiated NLP, introduced it to Europe. And Gene and I have been working on this sort of concept because, if we look at the world and where it is at the moment, and we look at the state of the planet and the environment and how species have diminished, how businesses have plundered and taken and damaged resources, how our kind of world has been about more and more and more and more, and I get frustrated when I hear doom and gloom because the sales numbers for some of the big supermarkets haven't increased as much as they would like them to. And I think what I mean with this chapter is that we need to move towards a better world. And if we keep on doing as leaders what we've always done, and maybe this has been about manipulation, about utilizing world's resources, about also generating as much cash for ourselves or for companies, then we're always going to get the same results. And therefore, what we have to do, Adam, is we have to now. There's the paradigm shift, and the pandemic's also helped with that too, and the realization that there are some big issues, and that we have to change, and that requires a higher level of leadership. Not a leadership which is competing and battling and threatening wars, and it needs people to come together like never before to solve the world's problems, and that needs a different way of thinking.
Love it. Good answer there. Very cool. Very good. Very interested. And there's some great tips that you put in your chapter as well, and I think it's very in tune with how the world is right now. So. Yeah, and I think that, especially to some of the listeners and to people around the world, I think it's definitely worth tapping into Chris's secret sources, if you like.
So Adam, let's finish with you, because this book, of course, is is a culmination of all these experts sharing their best thoughts. And you had a chapter at the end, which was really about. It was actually about a number of different areas, but it was also about kind of seeking help. Tell us what your chapter, the purpose of it was, and what you were aiming to tackle and help people with.
Yeah, and it's a great question, first of all. And, one thing that I've learned in the entrepreneurial business world is that it doesn't matter if you are the CEO of a six-figure company or you're the CEO of $1 billion company. The fact of the matter is at the top, it's lonely. And it amazes me, Chris, how so many leaders, so many leaders out there that don't tap into, if they're stuck or whatever it is, they reflect back on their life and they think to themselves, I could have moved much faster than that if only I could have, tapped into that person's knowledge or resource or whatever it might be. But from my perspective, I think it's so important, being able to put your own egos aside, Chris, right? And say, do you know what? I'm not an area of expertise in this area. Maybe I need to tap into someone's resource, and then maybe I can actually move forwards at a much faster pace. So that was, and again, I've got my own sort of personal stories, but that was sort of the reason why I decided to kind of come up with that. But you're absolutely right, Chris. I kind of really tapped into quite a few different areas in my chapter and stuff like that, and it was quite difficult to condense it down into something quite small, into bite-sized chunks. But some of the things that are very much in tune with the present day and with me as a person. So entrepreneurs and business owners, we go through, evolution, right? We evolve as human beings. We become more subconsciously aware of our own strengths and weaknesses. We become more perceptually aware of our own strengths and weaknesses. But more importantly, we becoming more in tune with what's actually happening around the world. And so one of the things that I feel was, again, we talked about this at the beginning of the interview, which is one of the things that I wrote about was choosing purpose over profit. My belief is, so I didn't put this project together, right, to make money. That was not the goal, okay? My goal was to help add value and serve people to its highest level. That is part of my personal values. That's part of my integrity. If I don't feel like I am serving to my purpose, to my personal values, then I'm incongruent. Then I'm going to wake up each day feeling insignificant. I'm going to wake up each day feeling like I haven't contributed towards the world. And that to me doesn't make me feel good about myself, right? Who wants to wake up each day thinking, do you know what? I'm going to go out and just to make money. You've probably heard of the story, Chris, of the millionaire or the billionaire that, works so hard on his business that does, 18-hour days, has a family and then loses it all, and then is then left with this huge mansion with all these fancy cars with no life to share it with. Who wants that life? No one wants that life, do they, Chris? No. And I've known those people, and it's not a nice place, But yeah, I mean, tapping into sort of expertise, such as Marshall Goldsmith, who has endorsed this book as well, who's also turned into a really good friend of mine as well. Branka's mentioned Chester Elton as well, is a very good friend, who's a 5 times New York Times bestselling author as well. And one of the things that really fascinate me, Chris, is understanding culture, people, and tribes, what intertwines, what makes people synchronize at a particular point, whether it be in their business life or in their personal life. I believe that there is some sort of synchronicity there. And how can you essentially tap into people's value? See, the thing is, Chris, like, I recognize your strengths and your weaknesses, and it's the same for most people. I'm pretty good at reading people, but I also recognize people for their worth. Do you know what I mean? Like, I can see that you're trying to help the world. Same with Branka, same with Haroon, same with Karel. You're all trying to do one thing. And why not get together, go hang out, have some fun, and take that message to a whole new level? And that was really, like, for me, the real representation of what the book really entails.
Fantastic. Right, that's great. Now, everybody, we've got a quick fire round now because you've got about 30 seconds each. So this is the question is, do you have a final message that you'd like to leave us with? Branka.
Well, I'm very humble, very grateful to you, Chris, to Adam, to Voice America, to all the listeners. And as a business consultant and as a mentor, I'm in a business of breaking patterns. And by breaking pattern this time, I would just say there is no need for leaders and the followers. We should all walk hand in hand together. Thank you so much for having me here.
It's been an absolute pleasure. Thank you, Branka. Lovely to have you. Haroon, is he there? I'm going to go to Karel then. Karel.
Yeah, thank you very much, Chris. Yeah, my final message is do not fear the unknown. It is in times, when we boldly step into our unknown, in the case, tap into our genius by connecting our physical and metaphysical worlds through our clarity, emotions, and visualizations, that we are able to experience the success that we desire and deserve.
Fantastic. I can see Haroon's now put his microphone back on.
Thank you, Chris. Thank you very much for having me on the show. I think I'd just like to leave the listeners with the message that I get across in my chapter, which is I found a way to create a community of partners to support and grow my business internationally in a really short time. And I'm sharing that through the chapter.
Fantastic, Haroon. It's brilliant. Lovely to talk to you today. And Adam?
Yeah, I think my final thoughts for today's show really is, tap into, coaches, mentors, people that you can, help you along the way, because, it's a lonely world out there. Don't put your ego to one side and you tap into this knowledge, but more importantly, read this book to see how it can help you more than anything else.
Fantastic. Thank you, Adam. Great work. And final message from me. It's been wonderful talking to you all. And hopefully you've got the, why we're so enthusiastic about this, the fact we've come together, we collaborated on this. We've become a tribe ourselves, actually, in the way we've pulled this together. But the aim of this is to help everybody. It's to help the tide lift, for all boats to lift. We're trying to, following our purposes, to make a bigger contribution to the world and to help. And if everybody does that, everybody is purpose driven and they look at what they're doing and making sure that they are contributing to the solution and not the problem, we're going to be in a much better place. Now, if you want to get hold of the book, it's available from all good booksellers, places like Amazon.com and in the UK, co.uk. But check out your local booksellers. For anybody who's quick and listens to this quick, you might just get away with a very cheap download on Kindle. But do access the book. We'd love to hear from you. And again, within the book, you'll be able to connect with the authors if you want to. Now, next week's show, we have Francois Lupien. Francois is, because of my love of things like, transforming and improving the world, he's got written some work around the lessons that Mother Nature can teach us about life and about business. And I think that's, right now we need to be listening to Mother Nature a lot more. So we'll be back again with you next week. Any questions or feedback, feel free to send them to Chris at chriscooper.co.uk, and I'm happy to connect you with any of the guests on the show today if you want to do that. So everybody just play the game.
We thank you for listening to the Chris Cooper Business Elevation Show. Please join your host, Chris Cooper, again next Friday at 8 a.m. US Pacific Time on the Voice America Business Channel. Be more. Achieve more.